Now, a few years back, you signed a thing in Parliament saying that MPs who swap parties should cause a by-election or trigger a by-election. Why not do that?
Well, it's election year, and the word on the street that there could be an election in May, so it'd be quite foolish to trigger a by-election and then have a general election, probably a couple of weeks after that, just be silly.
I think I can smell shite.
Hello everyone, welcome back to My Left Eye. 30p Lee Anderson, the former Tory MP who was recently suspended for failing to apologise for racist remarks directed at London Mayor Sadiq Khan, has joined the far-right party Reform. The move, which comes as no surprise to many, means Anderson, who also has a show on GB News, has now represented 3 different parties, having left Labour as a councillor to join the Tory party, though he was expected to be sacked before he switched. The Reform Party have welcomed the Ashfield MP with open arms despite the string of xenophobic and anti-minority statements he's made during his political career. Ironically, just 2 years ago, he also stated that MPs moving to a new party should trigger a by-election, but Anderson's defection means Reform now have their first MP in Parliament. Though with the general election rumoured to be in May this year, the victory may be short-lived. The last candidate in the by-election in Rochdale saw them finish 6th, and Anderson is very unlikely to hold his seat in the general election, so this will fortunately mean we won't be seeing him in the House of Commons for much longer. The same goes for 90 Tory MPs who've declared they're standing down before the next election, one of the most recent being former Prime Minister Theresa May. Let's see what's happening.
We've seen in the past, Mr Anderson, defectees from the Conservative Party trigger a by-election. We saw it with Douglas Carswell, we saw it with Mark Reckless joining the predecessor party of UKIP. Why not do the same right now?
Well, you're talking about Mark Reckless. It'd be pretty reckless of me to suggest a by-election when we could have a general election in May. There's your answer.
Why not go for it though?
Because it costs a fortune.
I think actually millions of people are sick of parliamentarians wasting taxpayers' cash. We've got a general election within weeks or months. Actually, what we've got to focus is getting the message out to the British people about the choices and the option. And that's the joy of democracy. Different parties, different views. That's great.
Now, a few years back, you signed a thing in Parliament saying that MPs who swap parties should cause a by-election or trigger a by-election. Why not do that?
Well, it's election year, and the word on the street that there could be an election in May, so it'd be quite foolish to trigger a by-election and then have a general election, probably a couple of weeks after that, just be silly, and a massive cost to the taxpayer.
Wouldn't it, though, I don't know, help achieve some of your aims of trying to sort of put the fire up the Conservatives?
Well, I'll tell you what, if you want to shelf out 100 grand for a by-election, I'll call one. How's that grab you?
There's a few bits in this article that I just want to quickly go through as well. It points out that he becomes Reform UK's first ever MP, as we said, representing a party polling around just 10% of national voting intention. Speaking at a press conference, Anderson said he was prepared to gamble on myself because he said he knew, quote, how many people support Reform and what they have to say, end quote. All I want is my country back, he added. Remember that one? Sounds pretty familiar, doesn't it, from back in the pre-Brexit days. Although, unlike Nigel Farage, of course, Anderson's managed to get himself a seat in Parliament. Farage did call the defection huge. He said, quote, I don't think Westminster really understands this yet. Mr Anderson ruled out calling a by-election in his own seat, telling the BBC it would be pretty reckless for me to suggest a by-election when we could have a general election in May. As I did point out, he's also said in the past that a change of party should trigger a by-election, so he can't decide whether he's coming or going on that issue. The New Conservatives, made up mostly of 2019 Tory Red Wall MPs like Anderson, said the responsibility for Lee's defection sits with the Conservative Party. In a statement, the group argued that the Tory party's failure to stick to the promises of the 2019 election had led to a split in the party, although as you'll no doubt recall, there were only 2 things on the table at the last election, and they were Brexit and HS2, both of which have been a complete disaster. The article also says, it's also worth noting that while Mr Anderson is well known in Westminster for his pugnacious style, and as a show on GB News, he's not exactly a major national figure. Arguably a more worrying announcement for the Conservatives would have been the return of Nigel Farage to active campaigning duties. Yet one person who definitely does rate Mr Anderson's ability to connect with the slice of the British public is the Prime Minister himself. Mr Sunak appointed Anderson a deputy chairman of the Conservative Party in February last year, and as recently as January, Anderson starred with him in a campaign video about how, quote, we should be so proud of our country. Sunak clearly thought that Mr Anderson could prove an electoral asset. We'll now find out if he was right. So, those are the basic ins and outs of Anderson's defection to Reform UK. Let us know what you think about it in the comments. Always great to hear your thoughts. Thanks so much for watching. Please help to spread the good word by subscribing, hitting the like button and sharing our content around. You can support the channel even more by joining us with one of our membership packages that have lots of perks for you to enjoy, starting from just 99 pence per month. Or to make a one-off contribution, please visit our Buy Me a Coffee page. Links are in the description below. Thanks again for watching. My Left Eye will be seeing you soon.